And then downwind, it's the same thing. You need to be turning around you in light air, looking for the puffs, know where to jibe in the puff, going up in the lull, keeping your board speed, and then bearing off again in the puff. So it's just a matter of reading the dark patches on the water.
Okay, so let's say you round the top mark and you got a long reach ahead of you and somebody's right in front of you. When you're cruising along, you get hit by a gust. The best thing to do is bear off slightly and bleed as much speed that you can out of the gust, and then in the lulls, head up to maintain as much speed as possible. So it's all pretty subtle, and you're using the waves and the swells also. But if you do that, you're able to just inch your way forward and just continue that pattern where you're working both the gust and the swell to get over the top of them.
Downwind, wind shifts are a lot more important than people think. It's just like upwind, but instead you want to be on the headed tack going on a deeper course to the leeward mark.
Normally too, something you need to take into notice is the first upwind. When you're getting to the mark, if you're coming on port or you're coming on starboard, you should try to realize what is going on with the wind.
If I'm getting lifted coming around the windward mark on starboard, then port tack will be the headed and favorable tack downwind. If the wind shifts downwind, be conscious of the shift in ley lines and be first to capitalize on the new angle to the bottom mark. Downwind, if I'm leading, I try to be first to jibe, keeping in the controlling position and in clear air.
Always jibe a little bit too early than a little bit too late. Because when you jibe a little bit too late and the guy behind you jibes like 1 second in front of you, ahead of you, then he gets the wind, you don't.
Yeah, Wojtek he's definitely got the downwind ley lines pretty much wired, and if he doesn't hit the ley lines, then he's probably one of the, I don't know if it's fitter or more determined, but he definitely pumps, you know, harder than a lot of the guys, and definitely if he's understayed the mark, he's pretty determined to get around it.
Like, I remember the first day of racing here in Gran Canaria, Steve in the first race, he did like 50 meters and then he jived and he made the mark, and everybody, he just went like 100 meters more and he came from 10th to 2nd.
Jive, when I felt a good time to jive, everyone else kept going a little too far. And I went straight to the mark and punished them.
So all the time when I'm racing there in the downwind, like the last 30 meters or 40 meters of the starboard tack of the mark, I try to check the front guy. So if I'm leading, I try to check the mark and really see how is the condition of the wave, you can go lower, and what's the possibility of changing your course. Some races I just made the decision of jibing on the mark and going to the other side. And if you are in a big group, you know, and it's really hard to pass people in the downwind, so if you have a big group, maybe if you are fast enough, you can decide, okay, I jibe and I go all my way to the other side, and you will gain some like 5 or 6 places.
I kind of like to go deep, but it depends on the situation. I mean, you gotta be able to do both of them, you know, because there's certain situations where you want to go deep if you're trying to get below somebody and you're kind of a ways behind them, or you know, if you're around in the top mark really close to somebody, you know, you want to be able to go high and fast so you can go over the top of them too.